it would have been full of surprises. It would have been like watching Psycho for the first time, or something like that.
Yeah.
It would, or The Sixth Sense, just
Mhm.
these nice little surprises that kind of invigorate an audience, right?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of movies now that take those kind of big chances.
Hmm.
I just
Yeah.
don't think movies take chances anymore.
So
Yeah, even if a movie came out now that had these kind of shock factors, you,
people
you
are going on reviewing it. They're talking
people
about
are
it.
talking
Yeah.
about it and reviewing it and trying. Hello and welcome to the Brothers Random Show. My name is Travis,
And I'm Michael.
and we are two ordinary brothers discussing extraordinary ideas and some random shit. So the topics on this show range from theology, masculinity, stories, movies, philosophy, books, pop culture, and many other subjects. We often talk about the people we admire and the wisdom they share, people such as Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, who we believe is the sage of our time. Michael, why are we here?
Today, we are talking about it being the 45th anniversary of Alien, not Aliens, but Alien, the original, directed by Ridley Scott. We're going to talk about it because we watched it again and it was some good fun. They took some horror and sci-fi, kind of mixed
Combined
it
them
in together.
together, yeah, because
Yeah.
they're not they weren't known for being together, I believe, until this movie. So this was kind of revolutionary for the time. It came out in 1979. It was directed by Ridley Scott, and this movie, I think, ushered in the horror sci-fi genre. So um, I saw it for the first time on a VHS tape. So that's how,
Back in the day.
back in the day. So, and I'm sure you probably saw it the first time
Probably rented
same
it from
way.
the not Blockbuster. It's probably
Yeah,
pre-Blockbuster in
yeah,
Wyoming, at least.
yeah,
But the local movie store
yeah.
where you could rent VHSs.
So, if you're not familiar, it's basically, I'll read the IMDb. A crew of commercial spacecraft encounter a deadly life form after investigating a mysterious transmission of unknown origins. So it's a great kind of it's a slow burn. I took my two oldest kids to it. In our local movie theater sometimes does these anniversary screenings.
Yeah,
They're never very
it was here
popular in
too.
our.
Yep, up here in
Yeah,
Utah, they had it
they
as
had an
well. Yeah,
anniversary screening. Yeah,
yeah,
so they re-released it 45 years. It's a 45-year old, so it's older than both of us. And it stars Sigourney Weaver and Tom Skerritt. Tom Skerritt was in like a bunch of stuff in the 80s. Uh, so he's a young man in this movie. Usually he plays the wise old sage. But so for those that aren't familiar, before we get into spoilers, Michael, any thoughts? It's a moody movie, right?
yeah. Slow burns the right word. It could be just my new age ADHD,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
it was kind of rough. I was just like, all right, guys,
yeah,
we could get to it. Like, you don't
yes.
need to watch the outside of the ship for a whole 5 minutes. Just watching the outside of the ship
Well,
do nothing. No.
well,
But I
you gotta
think
this was revolutionary for the time.
Yeah. I
So
think the reason, I mean, I think I get what he was doing because it was just slow, 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 like kind of, oh, this and this and this, and this, and then something scary, bam,
yeah,
and it
yeah,
just
yeah.
like kind of make you jump, right? Did your kids jump at all?
Yeah, they
Or,
jumped at a couple of scenes
yeah,
when it reaches out,
yeah,
the scene where the alien kind of reaches out,
yeah,
it freaked them out. So
yeah.
um uh and it is kind of it's a scary movie. It's a horror movie. And I said this to my middle kid, said this is a horror movie, and she's like, really, it's a horror movie? And I was like, yeah, it's science fiction horror, but it's a straight up horror. And she's like, oh, this is like my first horror movie. I don't know about that, but I mean, it is violent, and it's all practical effects. This is way before any kind of CGI.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd have to say that for the most part, the practical effects really holds up.
They're pretty not. It's
It's
not bad.
it's
Yeah.
not bad.
The
It's like kind
the
of amazing that they did that.
once the once the alien comes out of
Uh,
the
uh,
person,
yeah,
and it kind of looks around and stuff, you're like,
yeah.
huh, okay,
This is actually
it's pretty decent. And then
pretty
it runs
decent.
off.
Yeah, and it
And
runs off.
I seem to remember it being really cheesy when it ran off, but it actually, I was like, oh, no,
That
it wasn't
actually
that
looks pretty
bad.
good.
It actually looks
Yeah.
pretty good. Yeah. When it does its little runoff, which, it's just like connected to the table or something. It's just like,
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah. Because
but
they shot it in such a way that you can see where.
you can kind of tell. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
anyway.
it's still pretty good. It still holds up pretty good. It's for me, looking back on it's like this capsule in film history, because this is new for a lot. This is like the new thing for a lot of reasons. The special effects. So Star Wars had done similar special effects 2 years prior, and then a couple years prior to that was 2001: A Space Odyssey. So they are all coming out about the same time. It's within a couple of years of each other. It's like 5 or 6 years of each other. The special effects is like cutting edge. This is like practical effects. It's like makeup and tangible stuff, and it feels more brutal than the
Mhm.
CGI stuff. In my it just There's a scene where they fight a android, and
Mhm.
that scene is just brutal because they're
Yeah.
hitting him, and he starts falling apart. And in this universe, the androids have white uh
Blood.
uh
It's basically
it's
blood. Yeah, like
basically
blood.
blood for a robot, essentially, because the
Yeah.
robots look like they're humanoid robots. But it's so interesting to see that, because it's so brutal. It's like just messy as all get out, and you would not get that messy in a movie nowadays with CGI effects. It just doesn't feel organic. And
Mhm.
the actors are all kind of just really fighting, like they're
Yeah.
like pushing each other around and stuff like that. And it's like,
Yeah.
you don't get that
It's
with
it's
the
pretty
stuff
good. Yeah,
now.
it was pretty cool. That was kind of creepy. The whole, and did they? That was one thing I don't know if they kind of went into, but did they go into that the android, a robot, it's kind of an organic robot
Hmm.
because it has a blood, but it's
Hmm.
white. Um, that if they went into was uh if it was malfunctioning or not, because they come out, you find out that the company, and the company becomes kind of this thing
Should we
throughout.
get into spoilers for this, I guess?
Oh,
For a
yeah,
45-year-old movie, I guess.
for a 45-year-old movie, spoilers. I guess.
Okay, spoilers now. So you're supposed to be shocked that this guy's an android. You're not supposed to know.
Yeah, 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 which,
And
yeah, I mean, you don't. Yeah.
so so no, so you and I know, because this is basically a movie we grew up with. So it's hard to imagine what it would have been like seeing this for the first time. And with my kids, seeing it for the first time is kind of like,
Yeah.
it's fun to do because then you're kind of like looking at them going like, what do you think's happening? What do you, and they're all kind of confused because you see these beads of milk kind of coming
Like
down his
white.
face, white, and you're going, what's going on? And so for the first time to see
Well,
this
and
movie for the first time would have been amazing. Like
it would have been quite the shock. Like they knock off his head and all this white stuff just
it starts right,
everywhere,
and so you're
and you're
going,
just like,
was he an alien too? Like
what?
that's your
What is
first
going
reaction.
on?
Yeah, yeah,
What
yeah,
is
yeah.
going on? And then like in passing, one of them is just like,
It's like he's a
it's a
droid.
he's a
It's a
droid, or
he's a
something.
robot. He's a damn robot.
Yeah. And
So
so interesting.
it's just a interesting time capsule. Even the technology looks old to us now.
Yeah.
So like the computers are all
They're
kind of
big,
loud, and
big, and they got the big buttons,
the
these big
big
old giant
buttons.
buttons that they're
So
pressing and stuff. It's just,
so they didn't really think to themselves. So this movie is a movie from the past about the future. Is it supposed to be like a couple hundred years in the future? It's
no,
like, but
70
we're
years.
so far more advanced than the technology they're showing.
Well,
And
as the people I saw it with, I was kind of mentioning to them, like, the technology we have is more advanced, but we are not scaling the stars like they
yeah,
are
we're
doing
not
in this
like they
show.
are in the movie. So
So
it's
you're
like
kind of like,
what
it's like,
it's hard to it's like
so it's futuristic, but but it's
yeah.
not, kind of
Well,
thing.
and Jordan Peterson recently talked about this with Destiny. We did a whole video about this, but they basically he was saying there's no way to project to know like in 1885 or whatever it was what our lives would be like in 1995. So it's like
Yeah.
there's no way to know how the future is going to look. Everybody, it's all guessing. It's all, and
Yeah.
they're referring, of course, in that to global warming or whatever.
Uh,
So there's no way to project those like those ideas about the human race
what
because
and
this
where
is a 40
technology will be
whatever
too.
technology will be. So this is a 45-year-old movie whose technology looks archaic to us now because we've got these damn things in our pockets.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know, you know, it's a fun movie to watch because of that and because of the practical effects. There's a
Hmm.
scene where after they've knocked the head off of the robot where they're putting it back together just to get information from it, and they keep putting the head up, and then they just cut really quickly so it goes from the fake head to the actor head, and it's
The
like
actor head.
that actually looks pretty good. I mean, it's supposed to be damaged and like
they I
mangled
I I said right away, I was like, they should have panned to somebody and then came back
and then
to
came
it,
back to
because
it. Yeah,
you could just tell they're like playing with this
this fake head. Yeah,
silicone head, and then all of a sudden it's a human head.
yeah.
It's like, what?
But
No.
it was just I loved it because it's just kind of like,
Yeah.
well, this is what they had to do, and
Yep.
so they just had to do it with a cut
Yep.
and hope that
And
people
just
just
run
kind of
with it.
bought it,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know. Um,
Um, but
so
that was kind of scary. The robot thing was kind of scary. And then you've got this alien running around
yeah,
and it starts just killing people off. You just
yeah, yeah.
slowly, it starts.
It's your quintessential monster movie essentially,
Yeah.
and they've had alien monster movies. The thing, the first
Yeah.
thing was in the 1950s, I believe, and it's very old and archaic looking. And then there was like
Creature from the Black Lagoon,
yeah, there's stuff like that.
uh,
They're all
which is one I'd like to watch again. That'd be fun.
yeah,
Maybe
watching old black and white.
yeah, we should do a review on that.
So
Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
they're so archaic. Well, so at some point, King Kong, the original King Kong, everybody was scared of that at the time, and it
Mhm.
looks old to us and kind of
Yeah.
like but for this movie to come out with the so the design of the creature was done by an artist known as a German artist, a Swiss artist, known by as H.R. Giger, and he's got these very dark, like stuff out of nightmare paintings and stuff like that. And he designs this creature, and the creature is like nothing you've ever seen. Like they call it the xenomorph, is what they call it, and it's about the size of a after it comes out of the human gestates in the human, it becomes this, it gets bigger and larger and kind of humanoid, but it's like nothing anybody's ever seen or anybody's ever created since. It's such an interesting idea that this creature has become so normalized in our society now.
Kind of iconic, but yeah.
Yeah, iconic. And all it was these paintings by this artist who is just very is just dark stuff. They tried doing it, I think, with the movie Species in the 90s, because that was also his design. But to a lesser degree, I would have to say. Species wasn't as good of a movie. This movie spawned a bunch of movies, and a lot of people argue that the second movie, the one done by James Cameron, is the best. I would argue that as well. I would say it was better than this movie, but for the time, this movie was kind of a big deal. I still remember the movie poster of the egg, and it's got this green goo kind of coming out of it.
Yeah.
And it was enticing and very interesting. But as
Yeah,
far
and
as the
Aliens
movie,
is very much more an action movie.
yes,
I would
yeah,
say
yeah,
it's very two very different films, very
yeah,
different filmmakers, right?
yes, yeah.
Because Ridley Scott did this,
And
and
James
I
Cameron,
noticed that with that it kind of reminded me a little bit of Blade Runner, that it kind of
yeah,
had
yeah,
that feel of
yeah,
Blade Runner
yeah,
in
yeah,
it. And then of course James Cameron, James Cameron, you know, Terminator 2, some really great action movies. Aliens, he does
yeah.
Aliens, and it's kind of more of an action movie,
Well, it's
but
stuff of legend, pretty much. Like he was, it kind of solidifies the iconic uh of this franchise. Basically, it starts a franchise. The franchise is still going on. Supposedly another one coming out in a
another, there's probably, yeah, more coming, but
yeah
it took them 7 years to make a sequel
for this.
for this. Yes,
Uh,
so Alien 79, Aliens is 86.
yeah, yeah.
It's like that's a pretty good amount of time. Like
Yeah.
we don't usually see that happen around now. It's like
Well, yeah. It's
gotta
two
have a sequel
years.
out like
Got to have a secret out as quickly
right
as we
away.
can. It is
Yeah,
it is especially since if it's a
if
hit.
if it's a hit.
Yeah. So
Was this a hit in
yeah, it's set in
all intents and
79.
purposes?
It was a big hit because it was unlike anything anybody had seen. And you
Mm-hmm.
got to, so I like to put myself back into the first seeing this, right? And
Yeah.
so you got the creature, the xenomorph by H.R. Giger, which is not a normal, you would not think of a alien like this. Most of the
Mm-hmm.
people were thinking of aliens with the big heads and the big eyes and the small bodies,
Yeah.
humanoid bodies, but that was about it. And then you had like Star Wars where there was just hundreds of different kinds of creatures. So this is very much a different, it's got practical effects in it that people haven't seen. The egg, the face hugger, uh, this is all stuff that people hadn't seen at the time. Now it's pretty common among our stuff now. I mean,
Yeah.
they've made something like 5 sequels of it. They've combined the Predator franchise with this. They've done all
Yeah.
sorts of things with these
Aliens
creatures.
versus
Yeah,
predators. Yeah.
yeah. So it's not like this is you in 79 this would have been so revolutionary. People would have just like been like and the surprises. So there's two surprises in this movie. First, it's the robot that you do
Well,
not expect.
I
No,
mean,
well,
first surprise.
the first
It,
surprise is the guy getting it burst down into his chest, right?
yeah, he like it's on. So this alien is on his face for a while, and it takes forever. That was one thing. Is in the other shows, it's usually doesn't
Yeah, it
take as long,
doesn't
but
take as long. Yeah,
it's like, oh, we got to make this faster. But it so he's this thing. It's keeping him alive, but
yeah,
it's put something down his throat, and they're like, we don't know what it's doing. We can't really cut it off, and
yeah,
then eventually it just like falls off, or like it comes off, and then that was one of the things that makes you jump again was
yeah.
when
There are a
it
couple of
falls
really
on
good jump
Sigourney
scares.
Weaver,
Yeah, it falls on
falls
Sigourney
down on
Weaver. Yeah,
Sigourney Weaver. Anyway, but he wakes up and he's like hungry. I really could eat. I really want to
yeah,
eat,
yeah, yeah.
and then he's there at the dinner table, starts coughing and yeah. So
So according to legend, the actors knew something was going to happen. They didn't know exactly what was going to happen, and so they set this up to splatter blood on them, and
so those are all
so
real
those are real
reactions.
reactions. To
Oh, I love it because I actually
the
you
woman,
watch it
the
and they do look surprised. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and everybody's like, "What the?" Because they knew something was going to happen to him. They set him up. There's even a little bit of they used like real small animal entrails. I don't know how true that is, but
Yeah.
even because Sigourney Weaver said that they were using real animal guts and stuff like that, and so
Ew.
it kind of made the set smell. So I don't know how true that is. I can't or confirm that, but
Yeah.
so those are like so that's the first surprise in this movie. So nobody's expecting this, right? You go to this movie, you've seen the teaser, and the teaser says almost nothing about the movie. So there's this surprise at the very beginning of the movie, and then they get into the fight with the android, and there's another surprise because they get in the fight with the android, and the big guy starts smashing his head in with a what is it, a
Fire extinguisher, I
fire
think.
extinguisher, yeah,
Something
with the
like
fire
that.
extinguisher, and he smashes it's smashing it, and then his head comes off. And so if you're watching for this for the first time, you're thinking, is this guy an alien too? Like, they're
Yeah.
different, are there, is this place populated by aliens and stuff like that? So it would have been full of surprises. It would have been like watching Psycho for the first time, or something like that.
Yeah.
It would, or The Sixth Sense, just
Mhm.
these nice little surprises that kind of invigorate an audience, right? You know,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of movies now that take those kind of big chances.
Hmm.
To
Hmm.
have a character whose chest bursts open with an
Yeah.
alien coming out of it, like that you're not going to see that a lot anymore. I just
Yeah.
don't think movies take chances anymore.
Um, well, and just I mean, and we've seen a lot, and so it's like, what's
What's
a
new?
new surprise?
Yeah, what's a new
Well,
surprise?
and it seems like everything gets kind of given away in trailers nowadays.
Yeah, 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 that's true.
Giving
Hmm.
things away. So because they got to get people into the theater, so they gotta they gotta
Entice them with
entice them with as
many
much,
interesting
with
things.
information. But maybe less is more. Maybe they need to do some trailers that kind of tell you nothing,
Well, it kind of makes you
Then
wonder. It makes you wonder with the 45-year anniversary of this, and it's being re-released into theaters. If it gets a lot of people going to it, maybe there's this hunger for a new a new thing, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
People are like, oh, let's go back to the old where you could have a surprise like that in a movie that would like shock you. It was meant
Yeah.
to shock, and it actually did. And like it shocked people in theaters. That's what
Yeah.
Psycho was too. Psycho was meant to shock, and you know, legend has it that Alfred Hitchcock, the director of Psycho, started would tell theaters, do not let people talk about this after put a warning that says don't
Yeah.
talk about this after you've left the theater, because the people coming in to the
Yeah.
theater, the
You
surprises
want a
need to
surprise.
happen to them.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
and we
Hmm.
don't have
We
we
don't
don't
have
have a
that
lot of
anymore.
surprises
Yeah.
anymore.
It's the
Like, when was the
internet
last time you were
age.
surprised by a movie? I I I, I have a hard time thinking of a movie
Shoot.
that's come out recently that surprised me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't know. Maybe that would be another video to do.
There's no there's no surprises in films anymore.
Do something like surprises going the way of the dinosaur.
Yeah. Uh,
Um,
I mean, did you like it?
yeah,
I mean,
I
it's a
I
slow
liked
movie.
it. I had to kind of fight myself from falling asleep a couple times. If you watch it late at night, you're kind of just like,
Yeah, it's
come on.
it's kind of monotonous. Yeah,
Uh,
it's almost like they were trying to show there's a lot of scenes where it's just the ship. It's
yeah.
like they built this and they were so in love with building the sets, as they were like, we really need to show the sets. That's kind of, but but see, nowadays it would be all in a computer, it'd be CGI'd, and nobody, so
No one would
so
care.
is it any wonder that they were proud of it and they were like, hey, we want to we
Let's
want to
show this
showcase this,
a
you know?
bunch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
It I
I
I did I did feel that it was a little monotonous, like especially with my kids who are like so like into their phones and everything. It was like hard for them to be away from their phones for that long. So
mm,
I don't know.
mhm.
They seem to enjoy it. They were surprised by many of the things that happened in it, I believe. So uh
Yeah.
so
That
it,
we probably don't get this anymore where it's like the slow build up
yeah,
and then scare you or
yeah.
payoff or whatever. We probably don't get a lot of that nowadays. And so it might be a dying art because it's go, go, go. Everything's fast
Well,
paced and
and even if there were these surprises, the internet, the people are going to go to the internet right away and talk about
probably
them.
know. Yeah, they'd probably
Yeah.
know. So it wouldn't be a secret anymore, kind of thing. So
Yeah, even if a movie came out now that had these kind of shock factors, you,
people
you
are going on reviewing it. They're talking
people
about
are
it.
talking
Yeah.
about it and reviewing it and just
Yeah.
trying to,
Just
I don't
finding
know,
the
spoiler alerts are tend to be a thing in our society now. So maybe if something was this shocking, that, but it just feels like the 70s just took a lot of risk when they made movies, right? There
yeah.
aren't
I mean,
there aren't a lot of
80,
risky movies now.
80s and 90s too. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, but
it's a bygone era.
yeah, I liked it. There were some things that that I thought were kind of, I don't know, that didn't quite work out with the story things like that. Uh,
Well, like the
but
moisture in the ship. Where's all that water coming from?
oh yeah,
That's one of my kids pointed that out. It's like, huh, I never really thought of that.
yeah, and then like one of the guys goes, he's
He's
like
like washing his
it's like
face from
rain, and then
it's
washing
like
his
draining.
face, and you're just like,
Isn't this a ship?
is
I
this
guess
rain?
like if you could put some logic to it and go, okay, so engines that are hot could
Yeah,
produce moisture maybe in the air, but it's in
um,
space. And so it's like
yeah,
but it plays because it's just more of a atmosphere. It's more of a feeling, I guess, more
yeah,
than logic. But if
yeah.
you put any kind of logic to it, it doesn't really make a lot of sense.
But I mean, they're also in space and they're never floating. So I mean, there's
Well, they do
that
at the
too.
beginning. I did notice they said something about
Gravity,
artificial gravity or something like
artificial
that.
gravity thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
but
uh,
I mean, what did you think of they have sleep capsules that keep them asleep, like kind of in
yeah.
suspension for Now we've seen this before. There's a bunch of
There's
movies
a
do
bunch of
this.
shows that do this,
Um,
and
but
that might be the, one of the things, if we are going to make it to other planets,
planets,
it might be
that's gonna
something that
be
we figure out. Or
yeah,
you'd have to basically figure out how to be able to have a ship that would be multi-generational over
yeah,
a long period of time. So you'd have people, literally
living and
grandchildren, great
dying on
grandchildren, living
on the
and
ship.
dying on this ship, and
To,
then get to the place where they're going.
yeah,
So that really all kind of depends on like our abilities to do that. Um,
Elon Musk will
but
figure it out.
maybe, maybe we'll see. We'll see. Well, we haven't gotten to Mars yet, so we'll
Yeah,
see.
we'll see.
um,
So yeah, it's a good movie. It's an old movie. It's a slow movie. It's okay for movies to be slow. I was okay with it. I was watching it. I was enjoying the visuals of it.
yeah.
I mean, not a lot of it doesn't make a lot of sense now because it's so old that the like we were saying, the technology just looks really rudimentary. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't really feel like that's the way the technology is going to look in another, you know, so you can't predict the future, so they didn't know how it was going to look. So
Yeah.
I mean, there isn't one CGI shot in the whole. I think some of their computer graphics might be like early CGI that, it
Maybe
looks a lot like what Star Wars used. So,
there's a
you
lot of
know,
strobe use in it that
yeah,
I didn't remember there was so much strobe use. I was just like, wow, gal.
it's giving you a
But
headache, right? Yeah.
yeah, almost. But like, there are things I don't know. I'm not an animal lover to the point of somebody possibly dying.
To
Like, and she goes after her cat, and I'm just like, just leave the
leave.
cat. Like, it's okay. But I guess I'm kind of heartless. There's other people that would just be like, no, it's a living thing and it's part of the family or whatever. And
The
and
cat doesn't even like her. It's like
yeah,
howling
they
at
have
her
like
and stuff
this
like
love hate relationship with the cat.
yeah.
So, and she went back for it, and then you know had to
It
hold it.
used to
Apparently, the alien, because there's a point where the cat is in its little box and the alien's like looking at it. But apparently, aliens don't care about cats because he just left it alone.
he just left it alone. So
Or plot twist, it. No, no, I'm just kidding. It put an egg in it.
it put
I
an
don't know.
egg in it. Yeah. I don't know about that.
No, yeah. So
That would be kind of crazy, but yeah, I mean yeah, it's a, a different time, a different filmmaking time. I mean, Ridley Scott's still making movies. I don't think he's made a good movie in a long time, but he's still making movies. So and Sigourney Weaver's still acting. I think
be fun to
so
see her again in
yeah. Well,
Ghostbusters. That'd be awesome.
she's done the avatars. She was in James Cameron's Avatar movies, and
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
she's still working. I mean, it's not like she's not working. In
Mhm.
Home died a few years ago. He was the guy who played the uh the android. And
Okay.
he also played Bilbo Baggins in the Lord of the Rings.
Oh, okay.
So you might
Yeah.
recognize him from
You
that.
saw a few faces that you kind
That
of
you recognize,
recognized a
yeah.
little bit
Yeah.
in it. Yeah.
So, well, any other thoughts on that, brother?
Nah. Yeah, it's a good show. It's a good start of a movement. So it's classic. Watch it to see the start of how it all
Yeah.
started. Right?
Yeah,
You got
how alien
Prometheus, you got
you got
aliens,
a ton of. I would argue that these are the two best. This and the
the
Aliens with the
aliens.
sequel. They pretty much went downhill after that. I haven't seen one that I've been that impressed with.
I enjoyed Prometheus. I
I
guess in
didn't.
that I mean, I guess that's a spoiler. Sorry guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're not really supposed to know
No, that's an
until
alien
like
movie
that it's an
until the
alien
end.
movie.
Oh
Spoiler.
well. Yeah.
But
Mm.
I didn't have a problem. I thought it was okay. I didn't have a big problem with it. So anyways, but
Okay.
yeah.
Well, Please check us out on social media, audience. Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Look for the Sword in the Skull. If you are listening to this on one of those and not watching it, could you please go to YouTube and like, share, and subscribe? It kind of helps our algorithm. And you're also missing out on some of the shorts that we put together and some of our video essays. In the meantime, keep reading, keep listening, keep watching, learn more. We'll see you, brother.
See ya.